Your dizzying lifestyle needs investment ideas at lightning speeds. Watch Market Fatafat. Get 30 big stock ideas in just 30 minutes. Market Fatafat. Quick, crisp, credible. Market Fatafat. Only on ET Now. Rise with India.
Hi there everyone, good morning and welcome to Market Fatafat. Well, the markets merit attention at this point in time as we're on the way for the semi-finals to 2019. All of the details with respect to the elections in 5 states emerging, and as of now the markets are on tenterhooks. So the status is that we have seen quite a decent pullback, and as we speak we're close to the highest point of the trading day, 10,461, with the broader market holding out in the green. Sanjay Dutt is with us right now to give us some more perspective on the markets, and as the state elections are on, you know, there was expectations of quite a bit of volatility in the markets, but then you also had the news, Sanjay, coming about Urjit Patel resigning as the RBI governor. How are you reading into all of these developments from a market standpoint?
I think the markets have kind of reasonably well adjusted to these developments. As far as elections were concerned, you know, more or less they were priced in yesterday itself. The negativity that we are seeing today is primarily because of the sudden announcement of the RBI governor. But there again, I think market participants, if you speak to everyone overseas, within India, particularly large investors, they all have one consensus view that the institution and the government are much above an individual. RBI fabric and character is not going to change. RBI is going to continue its work as it's been carrying on. Yes, there were differences between the leadership of the RBI and the finance ministry. Ultimately, we have to realize it's the government of India which has the final say on all matters, and an elected government is the one which is responsible to the people of India. So therefore, if the RBI governor, which was appointed by this government, didn't get along with this government, if that's what's being said, the reason for his resignation, I think fair enough, we moved on. Markets have taken a stride. Now markets looking ahead to global developments and a lot of other things. Elections and RBI governor's resignation is out of the way, more or less, barring a little bit of volatility of 50, 100 points in the Nifty. That's about it.
So Sanjay, what's the sense that you're getting when it comes to some of the rate sensitives? Because you definitely saw that a lot of these stocks did come under the chin. We're talking about banks as well as real estate. It's a time of volatility when there is quite a bit of uncertainty as well with respect to what's gone on in the Reserve Bank. What does one do with rate sensitives?
In fact, I think, frankly, uncertainty is out of the way, because the fact that there was disagreement between the RBI governor and the government was public knowledge. So there was back and forth going on. Now we know that one of the actors who was supposed to be out of the way is out of the way. The RBI governor has put it in resignation. We like it or don't like it, but that's how a democracy functions, and that's how a system of appointment functions. No one is bigger than the institution. We'll have a new RBI governor, but that doesn't mean that the RBI is going to change in any manner. RBI will continue as a good regular. It's a time-tested institution. Interest rate sensitive, yeah, they've been plagued by other problems with regard to NPAs, with regard to global volatility in interest rates, oil prices, those kind of things. Inflation. I think those factors which are fundamentals in those factors, the macro factors are going to come into play more than who's heading the institution or who's not heading the institution. I think that fact is out of the way now.
All right, that's the take coming in on some of those rate sensitives. What about the currency as well? We're seeing quite a bit of choppiness and volatility as of now, though the rupee is quoting at 71.95 thereabouts, off the 4-week lows that we've witnessed. What are you doing with some of the stocks which are intrinsically linked to the currency?
I think if you talk to, I'm no foreign currency expert, but if you talk to most of the people who watch the currency and are relatively more knowledgeable, they've been of the opinion that, rupee is going to be in the 69, 69.5 and the 72 range. That's where it is right now. If we see aberrations or ranges out of this band, I think then we would probably need to get worried. So if we suddenly see a 73 or we suddenly see a 768, then we would need to adjust it into our, forecasting and earning models of companies. But as long as it's in this band, I think everyone's okay with it. So it shouldn't weaken any further beyond the 72.5, 73 or so. And similarly, it shouldn't probably strengthen more than 67. That's when the earning models and forecasts would kind of change for most of the companies who are dependent on the foreign exchange.
Sanjay, so what's the sense that you're getting with respect to the volatility that one has braced themselves for? And you said the markets have sort of taken it into their stride with respect to the election outcome. We haven't seen, we haven't seen any stark reaction, so to speak, that seems to have been priced in yesterday, 10,482. What's the way forward now from a market standpoint in terms of the direction that we're headed?
I think volatility can also be read as an opportunity. So, it depends where you stand right now. If you stand as a trader, there's phenomenal opportunity for you when there's volatility. Similarly, if you're an investor, there's again opportunity for you if there's volatility because you get to buy things cheaper if you want to invest. Yes, some of the holdings do go down. You do get stressed out a bit. But then ultimately, they're conviction ideas, they're investment ideas. You remain invested because you didn't buy them for this 50, 100 points up and down or maybe 500 points up and down in the Nifty. So volatility is something that we are living with the world over. Look at the Dow, there's such deep markets. And the way we are seeing those 300-400 points move up and down in the Dow itself. So, I think in the Nifty, it's nothing compared to what we are seeing in the U.S. markets. So volatility is something which global markets are experiencing right now. They'll tend to stabilize a little bit. But in this volatility, opportunities arise. Whenever one thinks an opportunity can be in cash, one should encash it. If you can't live with the volatility, you shut down your portfolio for a while, step back and don't trade.
Where is it that you're seeing opportunity then, Sanjay, in a market like this?
I think there's opportunity across the market. If you start looking bottom up, whether in consumption plays, whether in infrastructure and financial sector plays, most of the financial sector plays have been beaten down a lot. Particularly the PSU banks, the large PSU banks likes of State Bank, Canara Bank, Bank of Baroda, these kind of banks. Similarly in mid caps, we've got good quality mid caps that have corrected by 40 to 50% over the last 3 to 6 months. So there is a bottom-up opportunity across sectors this point of time. Is the time, if you do have the stomach to live with this volatility, start deploying money. But if you think you would like to come in when waters are calmer, even though the markets might be higher, just stay out. But all a function of your risk-reward profile. If you're an investor, will you take the extra risk and make that extra money? This is the time to start picking your conviction buys.
Okay, those were a few banks as well that you flagged off. There's been a lot of choppiness when it comes to crude oil as well, and you've seen the oil marketing companies, being taken for a jolly roller coaster ride, if you will. What is your take on the overall fundamental picture when it comes to some of the OMCs as well as oil and gas stocks?
See, oil marketing companies have been a little wary because the question there is that if, they still do not have complete flexibility, complete independence on fixing the end product prices. You've had the government which fiddled with that 1 rupee a litre kind of a thing just about a few months back, and we suddenly saw, more than 1 lakh crores of market cap being wiped out of oil marketing companies. So therefore, that's something which is politically sensitive, which is, where there could be tendency of the government to kind of interfere in the pricing mechanism. So I would like to stay away from them. But when it comes to oil and gas sector as a whole, I think the best play there is Reliance Industries. It's a combination of 2-3 sectors, and I think there's an unlocking opportunity also lying in there. So that's kind of the only bet that I would like to take in the oil and gas sector. Oil marketing companies, I would be a little wary because, we don't have clarity still as to what the end product pricing, and more so when we're heading into the general elections. If oil once again goes up to the $75-80 a barrel, one is a little fearful that, government may start fiddling with the end product prices, and the oil marketing companies may have to absorb some of the differences.
Okay, Reliance Industries, a conviction buy, tad wary on the oil marketing companies. Many thanks for giving us your perspective on the equity markets. In fact, I just want to keep it with the markets for a moment and identify some of these sectors that have driven this 100-point recovery in the equity markets, because now we've just about broken into the green. Pharmas, PSU banks, IT stocks, a lot of the media basket as well is managing to hold out in the green, while energy, banks and the finance sector are still looking quite choppy in trade today. So just some names that are managing to stand out in the green include Yes Bank, Sun Pharma, Indiabulls Housing, Tech Mahindra, Reddy's, Axis Bank as well as SBI. But let's also hear it from Ajay Srivastava, who spoke about some of the top themes to play in this market, and he's betting on the healthcare and IT pocket.
The market setup is actually very good. Sellers are out, weak hands are out, people are low on positions in terms of futures. So it's not a bad place for the market. A little bit of positive can take this market up, not very much, but can hold the line at least, if not fall down. So we are buying 2 or 3 good quality banks, definitely back in there. We're definitely looking at IT, we're definitely looking at healthcare very closely, because in this open season of freebies, I think more healthcare benefits are coming to people and they will extend to hospitals, networks, etc. So you could be a good place to be if you're in a hospital company.
Okay, let's move away from this and talk a little bit about the currency as well. Urjit Patel's exit is definitely a sudden resignation that came about, and you've seen a move come in, quite a bit of volatility in the rupee versus the USD as well. Let's get in Jamal Maklai, who joins in, and thank you so much for taking time out. Just purely from the perspective of the governor's exit, springing quite a surprise among investors, because now, you know, the view is that we could see a bit of policy uncertainty, and that, stems about as a bit of a risk for the currency market, which has already been through quite a bit of volatility. How are you looking at this event?
Well, it's obviously a pretty terrible thing, right? And it's not just from a point of view of the short term, like who's in charge and who's going to come in. I mean, who would come into a place like this, where you're being pushed to the wall? Basically, this is the basic. I think this is the problem with the government, is that they believe they know everything. They don't have very many, they don't have any respect for, shall we say, outside intellectual value. And so I think the real problem is going to be who's going to take his place. Even when he came in, if you remember, he came in right after Dr. Rajan left, and a lot of people felt that he's just a government plant. He certainly, and after demonetization, people thought that even more so. But then he certainly proved himself. He's proved himself and full marks to him. But now again, he's been dumped, So I think, the government has no focus, frankly, on anything but politics. I mean, we all know that, right? But the tragedy for them is that it's too late. They're going downhill, as you see from the state election results. The tragedy for us is we have to live with this madness. What is going to happen? The good news from a market standpoint is the rupee fell, but it did not sort of collapse, right? And the equity market fell, but it has recovered a bit. And actually what it's appearing like, that maybe the failure of the BJP in the state elections, markets are maybe taking that as a positive, which is exactly the opposite to what most people felt earlier.
So to narrow it down, Mr. Maklai, now everyone is expecting quite a bit of heightened volatility. There's a cocktail of domestic matters as well that's going to keep the rupee's moves a check. What exactly is it that you're expecting from the currency? From
what? Where is the rupee going to go?
Where is it headed in terms of direction?
Nobody knows that. I mean, come on. Nobody ever knows what's going to happen to any market. So what you've got to do is you've got to hold on tight. You've got to have a sensible approach if you have risk in the market and manage it. To depend on where it's, on your view or my view, anybody's view of where it's going to go is a foolishness. Because nobody knows, obviously.
All right, hold on, sit tight. That's the take coming in. It's anyone's guess as to where the currency is headed, but an unexpected move with respect to the RBI governor's sudden exit, 71.78. That's the rupee rebounding a tad from the day's low. On that note, let's take a quick break right here on the show. 10,517, quite a smart recovery for the equity markets. Election is on top of mind. everyone. Very good morning and welcome to Market Fatafat. Welcome back. 10,521 on the index. The recovery is fairly evident. But let's move right on. We've got a whole host of stocks to discuss. We'll try and squeeze in as many as we can. What is buzzing away in trade? Watch out for. Let's bring on board then Karunya as well, and we'll be flagging up as many stocks as we can. So let's begin the show then by talking about a stock from the banking space, and that is Yes Bank. That certainly merits a mention because it's sitting pretty on top of the list of Nifty gainers as they top slot now. It's a 5% notch up. In fact, as we speak, quoting at 175. Yes Bank has snapped its 5-day losing streak, It's the top gainer, not just on the frontline index, but on the Nifty Bank as well. Valuations is still at about 1.17 times the FY20 price to book, a long build-up being seen. And the open interest is up something like 2.3% with volumes about 19% below the 20-day average. That's Yes Bank at 175. Moving on then from the broader end of the market, there's a newsmaker, and that is in the form of an ADAG stock, Reliance Communications. Karunya, what's the latest? Well, that's right. Reliance Communications has essentially filed a contempt of court petition in the Supreme Court, and this is against the Department of Telecommunications for not clearing the company's spectrum sale to Reliance Jio Infocom within the stipulated period of time, therefore intensifying the battle between the operator as well as the government. And clearly, RCom doesn't seem to be happy at all with what the DOT has done, and in fact, according to sources, the company was prompted to file a contempt case after the DOT did not quote-unquote follow the Apex Court's direction and grant them approval for the spectrum sale within 7 days of receiving corporate guarantees. So that's something that seems to have ticked off RCom, and they have filed this petition against the DOT at the Supreme Court. That's RCom for you, down about 1.3%. Well, from an ADAG stock to RIL, and let's pull up that stock. It's in focus today. A mild attempt at a pull back at 1,083. In fact, it is in the news as Reliance Industries has now created 7 subsidiaries to manage the growing telecom and content business. This is just coming in a month after it completed deals with Den Networks as well as Hathway Cables. This is according to reports, and we understand that the subsidiaries are called Geo Content Distribution, Internet Distribution and Television Distribution, as well as Geo Cable, Futuristic Digital, etc. In fact, this is going to undertake the business of broadcasting, broadband internet, wireless data, residential retail to customers, and analysts believe that the company prefers subsidiaries for its businesses because they're easier to manage, easier to distribute risk, and more convenient for them to raise funds for them through RIL's backing. There you have it, at 1,082, it's RIL. Moving on to stock number 4 from the broader end of the market, let's just take a look as to what's going on with Infibeam, 3.5% higher. Karunya, why is that? Well, it's on back of a revision that ICRA has done. However, the revision is a bit on the cautious side, not on the positive side. They have essentially revised the rating from A+ to A. So that's an update that is there, and this is primarily because of the subdued scaling up of profits across businesses. They're not very confident or happy with the kind of performance that has been delivered by the various business divisions that Infibeam has, and therefore they've revised the rating from A+ to A. That's the stock to keep an eye out on, Infibeam in focus. Meantime, pull up Titagarh Wagons as well, and that's a smart move that you've got on the stock. In fact, it should just come up for you on your screens. The company has won an order worth 1560 crore rupees. It's been awarded a contract for manufacture and supply of 5,000 odd wagons to the Indian Railways, and the value of the order is quite substantial. In fact, as per the contract, 1/3 of the quantity will be supplied within the next 6 months, and that will help complete the supply of full wagons before 2020 February. Titagarh Wagons flexing its muscles, and rightly so, 6.5% on the stock. Time to move right on then to mid-cap IT, and Zensar Tech is a stock to watch out for in trade. Good news coming in, Karunya. That's right. The reason why Zensar is so firm and resilient in today's trading session is because it's been selected by European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which is also known as EBRD, as their partner for technology infrastructure, modernization and network services. Essentially, what the company will do is that they'll be managing the complete infrastructure rationalization and transformation, which includes things like service desk, end user technology, next gen data, cloud management, so on and so forth. So the essential entire tech infrastructure will be developed and managed by Zensa for EBRD, and that's a big contract, big order that they have won, on back of which the stock is also moving up in trade. Indeed it is. That's a nice 3% to 233. Let's move right on then and focus in on Lupin as well, and that stock is buzzing in trade today. In fact, as we speak, it's moved quite steadily from that level of about 803 all the way to 829. Remember, just off late we had that recent news about the Pithampur unit getting that EIR from the US FDA, but despite that the stock in the green. They've also received the tentative approval for Abixban drugs. This is from the US FDA, so that is a positive coming in for the company. They've received this approval from the US FDA, so it's a positive and it's a tentative approval that's come in, which is why the stock is sitting pretty at the highest point of the trading day. In fact, it's a generic version of Bristol Myers Squibb Company's Eliquis tablets in the same strength, and this is for reducing the risk of a stroke and systemic embolism, and the stock holding out. Well, let's move on to stock number 8 then, and that is DMart. Let's understand why exactly the stock is in focus. Karanya, walk us through some of the fundraising plans.
It's quite interesting as to, the stock is trading pretty much higher than 1% in today's trading session, because UBS has initiated their coverage on the stock with a rating of sell, giving a price target of 950 rupees, which is much lower than what it's currently trading at, 1520 odd rupees. They say that the revenue growth could disappoint, margins are likely to be flattish. Now, margins is something that has been flagged off as a concern by a lot of other brokerages also following the Q2 numbers. But yes, they also say that the stock could react negatively to any result disappointments in the future. Premiumization in modern retail could also impact discount retailers, and DMart is one of the biggest players within the value and discounting segment, and they could be hit by the modernization, and that's why they've initiated with a sell.
Okay, there you have it. That's the take coming in on DMart. Well, let's move right on and talk about stock number 9, that is Bharat Forge. Taking it a little easy in trade today, but Edelweiss is not very optimistic. In fact, they've got a reduced rating on the stock. They've got a target price of 460. They believe the weakening export outlook as well as the consensus earnings are a big risk. In fact, they have revised their the FY19 and 20 EPS estimates lower by 4 and 10% respectively, saying that there will be a sharper drop coming into exports. Bharat Forge, though, is currently at 505 in trade. Well, that wraps up Market Fatafat. We got you a whole host of stocks. Let's take you through then some of the top stories and headlines with news at this hour. It's jitters clearly in the markets over the assembly polls and the governor's shocking exit that has been brushed aside, as it seems like the Nifty has recouped almost all the opening losses. In fact, the broader end of the market is staging a smart rally, and it's the Rupee too which has gained composure after hitting a 4-week low, 10,500 on the index. Meantime, the Hindi heartland of BJP's stronghold, it's a certain sweep, a clean one for the Congress in Rajasthan. Raje's fortress is seen crumbling as the Congress inches toward the 100-seat mark in the Assembly. Chhattisgarh is clearly going the Congress way as well, as the party has crossed the halfway mark. BJP's longest-serving CM Raman Singh faces the voters' after 15 long years. And it's neck and neck for the BJP and the Congress in Madhya Pradesh. The Saffron Party struggles to make it 4 in a row over the clear signs of discontent over rural distress. And K. Chandrasekhar Rao's move to dissolve the Telangana Assembly appears to have paid off handsomely. The TRS is set to retain the state with a huge lead over the Congress as Chandrababu Naidu's alliance. Meanwhile, the Northeast bastion slips away from the Congress. The MNF looks set to form the government. The government is likely to chart out an action plan after the Governor Urjit Patel's shocking exit. Finance Secretary indicates some clarity may be provided today on whether the centre will appoint an interim or a full-time governor after taking into account its legal position. All right, there you have it, some of the top stories. But before we progress, there's been quite a bit of development with respect to Vijay Mallya's extradition. Let's hear it from Rajneesh Kumar, Chairman SBI, who speaks about Vijay Mallya's offers to the bank and their exposure to Kingfisher Airlines.
I can't dispute. I can't talk about no
verdict, the Mallya verdict. What do you see will now pan ahead of this? Do you think recovery will be more possible? Anyways, he was offering an
ज़्यादा possibility है कि नहीं?
बिल्कुल है और other than that the message is very loud and clear. So what we have to understand is that what is the message, that it is not that you just default and then you go and run away from the country. And this message is very important. Otherwise, whatever is the legal process in UK for extradition, that will have to be followed. But it is a commendable effort by the government as far as this case goes.
So do you think कितना बढ़ रहा है अब विश्वास कि अब जो कर्ज अदायगी वो हो जाएगी, इसका विश्वास?
देखिए, you should not look at it from one case perspective. What you have to look at is that overall, what is the message? The lending is an important business, both for the lenders and the borrowers. We need investment in the country, but the message is that you have to do clean banking. You have to be very careful about what is the purpose of the money lent, and that money must be used for the purpose it is lent. So to that extent, this is a very clear message, and that is where it will have a deep impact on the overall lending and borrower relationship.
So will it help expediting the Choksi and Nirav?
I hope so. I hope so.
Sir, what was the last offer, from Vijay?
I have not received any offer. As SBI is a lead consortium, we don't, as of date, we don't have any offer on our table.
सर इलेक्शन रिजल्ट्स के ऊपर भी बता दीजिए.
इलेक्शन रिजल्ट्स तो अभी आए कहाँ हैं, अभी तो लीड्स हैं, आने दीजिए.
हाँ, लेकिन लीड्स जिस तरह से संकेत दे रहे हैं उसके हिसाब से बीजेपी तो मतलब एक सत्ता पलट हो सकती है.
नहीं, उन स्टेट्स में तो जो भी रिजल्ट है उसमें
लगेगा. अगर
नहीं, इकोनॉमिक ब्रेक क्यों लगेगा? देखिए, सरकारें तो इलेक्शंस में आती रहती है और जाती रहती है.
NPA recognition norms of the February circular with the change in guard at
NPA recognition norms were 90 days and above. I have clarified several times that nowhere RBI February 12th circular says that that norm has been changed. What is the norm? That if an account is in default for more than 90 days, it is a substandard account. Has that changed in February 12th circular? It has not changed.
Mechanism, the 180 days timeline, taking companies to bankruptcy courts, do you expect relaxations, especially on the power companies?
I don't know, like whether there will be relaxation or no relaxation. Very difficult to predict these
things. So on the power companies, we're getting too close to the deadline, in terms of, I know Supreme Court is hearing the matter, but in terms of resolution, we've heard for 2 cases.
There are many other cases in progress.
How much more can we expect and how soon?
I have from the beginning said that there are 7-8 cases which are in different stages of settlement. 2 are where everything has been cleared, all banks have approved. Even one case, the restructuring has been approved, so you can take 3. And rest 3-4, I think, in different...
All right, a clear message has been sent out, says Rajneesh Kumar, but tough to predict if the RBI Feb 12 circular will be relaxed. As of now, when it comes to Vijay Mallya, there has been no settlement offer that has come in. He also spoke about how it's good for the financial sector to have a diversified ownership. Some of those PSU banks are fairly active in trade today. SBI at 276. But with news that we're at 10,500 nearly on the index, with the broader end of the market showing you quite a bit of resilience, we wrap it up on the show. Many thanks for watching. Up next, Markets at Noon.